Hi, it's Goldberg here, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about how a person becomes a psychopath. I'm going to explain what a psychopath is and the three stages that happen in childhood that, if not corrected and rectified, this person will become an adult psychopath. At the end of the video, I'm going to share with you three key signs to look out for to avoid being harmed by a psychopathic person, so make sure you watch until the end of the video. The information that I'm giving in this video is coming from two main places. Number one is people that I've worked with over the years with borderline personality disorder that have described to me the psychopathic part of their personality, how it works, what the function is, and what the root causes of it are. And number two is the many people that I've worked with over the years that have been involved with a psychopathic individual, and they have described to me their experience, as well as the behavioral patterns of the psychopathic person and what they knew about their childhood experience. If you have any experiences that you want to share or anything that you'd like to add to this video, please share with us in the comments below. Okay, so what is a psychopath? A psychopath is an individual that has an absence of empathy and is an external emotional processor. Essentially, this means that the psychopath sees themselves as the external world, which makes them highly manipulative, goal-orientated, unstable, and dangerous. A person that grows up in a healthy home environment learns that their emotions are coming to give them a message and they can process them internally. The psychopath, on the other hand, they learn from their unhealthy home environment that emotions are commands to act on and they need to process them externally, projecting them onto other people. Remember the difference between the narcissist and the psychopath. The goal of the narcissist is to get people to worship their grandiose false self, whereas the goal of the psychopath is exploitation and inflicting harm upon others. A psychopath often inflicts physical harm on others, but not always. Sometimes a psychopath aims to inflict emotional harm onto others. Now, let's look at the three stages of the psychopath's formation. Stage 1. Childhood emotional neglect and abuse. In childhood, the psychopath experienced ongoing emotional neglect from the primary parental figures, along with other forms of emotional or physical harm. It is common for the psychopath to have been the family scapegoat, being mocked, criticized, and harmed by the family unit. And because this child cannot escape this painful situation, the child will adapt their personality in order to survive this traumatic experience, and this leads to stage number 2. Disconnection from their emotions, their sense of self, no empathy, and being over-intellectual. Because the childhood home environment of the psychopath was void of empathy, the psychopath never developed empathy for self and others. In fact, for the child, empathy and emotions are seen as a significant weakness, and they disdain this and seek to destroy it. How dare you have empathy and feelings? I never got any of this. This is weak, I disdain it, and I seek to destroy it. Now, because the external environment of the child was so emotionally or physically harmful, the only way that the child can escape this is by cutting off their internal sense of self where the pain is. This leaves the child who is becoming a psychopath with no connection to their internal self and no connection to their emotions, only existing through the external environment. This is what makes it highly unlikely that the psychopath will ever heal, improve, and become functional, because they have shut out their internal sense of self where the pain is, and the psychopath will often sadly die never having reconnected to their childhood pain. There is simply no one in there to connect to. This is also what makes the psychopath unstable in their life. Because they exist through the external environment, which is always changing, the psychopath is often moving around, changing their work, family situation, relationships, and their life orientation. You can never predict what the psychopath is going to do next because of their intense instability. The narcissist, on the other hand, is a 100% internal processor. So the narcissist is able to be very stable in their career, to keep the same relationships, to be stable in their grandiose false sense of self. Whereas the psychopath, on the other hand, is not able to do this because they are external processors, unstable and unpredictable. Also, due to having no connection to their emotions because of their horrible childhood experience and being in that invalidating environment, the psychopath often reallocates that emotional energy into their intellectual mind. The psychopath is often very clever, intellectual, and meticulous in their goal-focused thinking. And this leads to stage number 3. Outside world processing, manipulative, goal-focused, and grandiose. Outside world processing means that the psychopath exists through the external environment, and because the psychopath is carrying a lot of unresolved traumas and pain, the psychopath will inflict this pain upon other people. Remember that the psychopath is all about getting revenge on the external environment because in childhood, their external environment caused them so much emotional harm. As a comparative example, if a healthy person is feeling angry, they're able to process that anger internally and understand the message of this anger and express this anger with words. I'm feeling angry about this. The psychopath, on the other hand, when dealing with anger, will just take it out on someone else through inflicting emotional or physical harm on them. The hyper goal focus and grandiosity of the psychopath gives them the illusion of power, which they use to distract themselves from their intense, unresolved childhood pain. The intellectual strengths of the psychopath drives their manipulation, which is how they strive to achieve their goals. This often causes damage and distress to others. Now, if you think that you might be dealing with a psychopath, here are 3 important things to look at. Okay, number 1, do they have no real empathy and no real emotional availability? You won't ever hear the psychopath express their feelings and be vulnerable. Number 2, do they have a history of instability in their life, their work life, their relationship, their living arrangements, and this is all happening underneath their grandiosity and charm? And number 3, are you seeing external emotional processing, which means they externalize anger, cynicism, sadism, and inflict harm upon others without showing genuine empathy or concern about the harm that they've caused? If you think you might be dealing with a psychopath, please reach out to a competent person for help and support. Please don't try to face this alone. I hope this video has been helpful. Take care of yourself and stay gold.